Hello and welcome back to another video. My name is Nicole and I sell vintage home decor on Etsy, and I have a small booth at an antique mall. Today I'm going to be sharing with you everything that sold from my Etsy shop in June and how much money I made. I do these videos every month. I'll have my video from last month linked in the description below if you're interested in watching that. Right off the bat, this is probably going to be one of my lowest months since starting reselling full-time. Last month I did really well with my profits, but I also didn't work very much. I was applying to grad school. I had a lot of family and friends in town, and your efforts on Etsy tend to catch up to you a month later. So the month before last, I had worked really hard and it paid off last month. Last month I didn't work that much and I suffered this month because of it. Also, it is summertime now, and if you're a reseller, you might be familiar with what's referred to as the summer slump. It's pretty common on Etsy and other selling platforms, retail platforms, for sales to slow down in the summer, which is because everyone's on vacation, having fun. Nobody is filling their sorrows by buying home decor, and there also aren't any major holidays really in the summer for gift giving or buying seasonal decor. In addition to all those factors, I've also been playing around with my shipping. So I was doing calculated shipping, then I switched over to fixed shipping rates, and then as of a couple weeks ago, I'm now trying out free shipping. According to Etsy, offering free shipping should help my items appear higher in search results, but a lot of times when Etsy makes changes like that or suggestions, they're not necessarily geared towards vintage sellers. So we'll see. I might end up switching back to calculated shipping, but I'm going to test it out for at least another month and see how it goes. If anyone else watching is a reseller on Etsy, I would love to know what your method is for shipping. Eventually, I will make a whole dedicated video about shipping, but again, I want to test out all the different options and feel confident before I make a video about it. All right, let's light a candle for some good vibes. Alright, so the first thing that I sold in the month of June was this vintage woven wooden basket with handles. I purchased this item for $2.98. I sold the item for $18 and made a total profit of $12.69. Next, I sold this pair of silver candle holders. I got these off of Mercari for $12.93. I sold them for $38 and made a total profit of $20.69. Next, I sold this brass candle snuffer. I purchased this candle snuffer for only 80 cents. I sold it for $18 and made a total profit of $14.22. Next, I sold two of these vintage Franklin mint etchings. I bought each of them for $7.50. I sold each of them for $34 and made a total profit of $22.68, or for the pair, that would be $45.36 of profit for the pair. Next is this brass shell napkin holder. I purchased this for $12.93. I sold it for $34 and made a total profit of $11.16. Next is this vintage brass unicorn bust. I loved this item. This was really cool. And I got this off of eBay for $15. I sold it for $38 and made a total profit of $19.95. Next, I sold this Egyptian black cat bust. I had this item in my shop for almost a year actually, so I was glad to see that it sold. I purchased it for $2.99. I sold it for $36 and made a total profit of $28.09. Next, I sold these miniature marble gauntlets. I got these for $3.96. I sold them for $26 and made a total profit of $22.91. cents. Next, I sold this set of ceramic bowls. I purchased these bowls for $3.98. I sold them for $48 and made a total profit of $35.16. Next, I sold this goose cross stitch. This was a super cute item I got off of eBay in a set. I do have one still on my shop that is a rabbit instead of a goose. I purchased this item for $10.36, sold it for $38 and made a total profit of $23.70. Next, I sold this set of onyx elephants. I purchased these for $7.78. I sold them for $28 and made a profit of $16.06. Next, I sold this folk art hand-painted wall decor piece. I purchased this for $1.50. I sold it for $36 and made a total profit of $26.05. Next, I sold this porcelain clown. I don't know what went through my head when I purchased this because it's not my usual style, but it did sell. I purchased it for 99 cents. I sold it for $26 and made a total profit of $20.92. Next, I sold this kitten cross stitch. This one was from my own personal collection. I had owned this for probably a year or two, so I don't remember where I got it from. I thrifted it, but I don't remember how much I paid for it, so I just put 0 for the cost. I sold it for $43 and made a total profit of $33.72. Next, I sold this Mexican tin candle sconce. If you ever find one of these, if you're a reseller, I got this one off of Mercari and it sold the same day that I listed it, which was crazy. That never happens. I purchased this for $12.91. I sold it for $34 and made a profit of $16.35. Next, I sold this copper mirror. I gave a little backstory on this copper mirror in one of my previous videos, but basically I got this mirror from an antique mall for $15, and when I did some research on it, I found out that it was pretty valuable and was supposedly worth over $300. So I listed it on my Etsy shop for $332, and the next day, the lady reached out to me who is an interior designer, and long story short, she bought the mirror for her clients. So the sale went through, everything was great. I was very excited, and then I found out last night actually that it broke in transit, which I was very sad about. I packed the mirror so well. I put like a piece of cardboard over the glass, tons of bubble wrap. I put it in a huge box and then packed it, like stuffed it with packing paper. So I was very disappointed that it broke, but the good news is that I actually paid for insurance from Pirate Ship. I do my shipping through Pirate Ship, and because it was such a valuable item, I decided to spend an extra $4 to have it insured, and I'm so glad I did that because it did end up breaking. I submitted the insurance claim last night, so assuming everything goes okay and that they cover the damages, I purchased the mirror, as I said, for $15. I sold it for $332 and made a profit of $254.79, which this sale was by far my most profitable sale I've ever had on Etsy. I don't even know what I'm gonna do next time I ship something fragile like that because I thought I had packaged it so well. So if anyone has any tips for shipping fragile items, definitely leave them below. Next, I sold this alabaster figurine of a guy in a sombrero with a little cactus. I purchased this item for $2.98. I sold it for $20 and made a profit of $12.80. Next, I sold this ceramic owl. I purchased this for 99 cents. I sold it for $27 $5 and made a profit of $16.69. Next, I sold this Royal Albert teacup and saucer. I purchased this for $4.99. I sold it for $38 and made a profit of $20.88. Next, I sold this Mexican tin vanity mirror. I purchased this item for $18. I sold it for $120 and made a profit of $78.76. Next, I sold this hand-carved African wooden bust. This was another item I had in my Etsy shop for a very long time, at least 8 months, I would say. I purchased it for $14. I sold it for $66 and made a profit of $34.25. Next, I sold this Mexican feather art painting. I don't remember how much I purchased this item for, so I estimated that it was maybe $3. I must have gotten it a long time ago or just forgot to put it in my spreadsheet, but I sold it for $35 and made a profit of $20.29. Next, I sold this bamboo box with a lid. I purchased this for $10.74. I sold it for $28 and made a profit of $6.94. Next, I sold a bundle order. So I sold this hand-etched brass vase as one of the items. I purchased this vase for $10. I sold it for $34.20, which the reason why that's a weird number is because I have something right now on my Etsy shop where if you buy more than one item, you get 10% off of your purchase. And I did that to kind of offset shipping costs and reward people for bundles because I'm baking in the shipping cost in my item total. That way, if someone buys 2 items, they're not overpaying for shipping, if that makes sense. This might all change. Again, I'm just playing around with shipping, but yeah, that's kind of explaining the weird number there. And this vase made me a profit of $14.28. In that same bundle, I sold this Tonala pottery cross. I purchased this item for $4.98. I sold it for $32.40 and made a profit of $17.82. Funny story, I had 2 of these crosses. They were slightly different in color, but they were basically the same. And I realized yesterday, or this morning, I think it was this morning, I was doing some bookkeeping and it occurred to me that I accidentally sent both of the crosses to this customer instead of just the one. I don't know why I did that. I must have been distracted and just like, I don't know, I thought that they had bought both of them, but they didn't. So they got 2 of them. Happy for them. Sucks for me because that other cross was pretty popular. It was getting a lot of favorites and stuff, so I'm sure that it would have ended up selling pretty quickly, but oh well, it happens. That's the first time I've ever done that, like sent the incorrect item or sent something extra by mistake, which maybe that's the theme of this month. A lot of mistakes were made, profits were low, but we're gonna keep pushing and hopefully next month will be better. A couple more items. I sold these cat salt and pepper shakers. I purchased them for $15. I sold them for $32 and made a total profit of $5.88. Also revisiting my kind of month of failure theme going on here. Hopefully, if you're a reseller, you can kind of learn from my mistakes, so to say. Like some of these profits are really low, like $5, $6. That is way lower than I want to be getting for profits, especially when I'm going through the effort of photographing, listing, writing the descriptions, measuring, packing orders. Ideally, I want to get like at least $15 of profit from each item. So it's also nice for me to kind of go back and review everything so that I can see where I might have overspent and just make notes for next time. And then lastly, I sold this cast iron horse toy. I got this recently at an antique mall and I'm excited that it sold quickly because when I bought it, I was just weirdly drawn to it. I was like, I really like this, but I didn't know if anyone else would like it or if it would sell, so I'm happy that it sold. I paid $20 for it. I sold it for $44 and made a profit of $10.25. Those are all of the items that I sold in the month of June. I'm going to go ahead and add up these numbers and see what my total profit is for the month. So for the month of June, my Etsy shop made me a total profit of $840.66. It's still a decent profit. It's not nothing, but it is significantly lower than my profits were last month, which is unfortunate, and it's definitely not enough money to cover my monthly expenses. But that was my profit for this past month. Again, there were lots of different factors that I think contributed to this number being low. I am back on the grind, working really hard. I worked really hard last month and I'm working hard currently this month, so we'll see if this is just the summer slump or if it was because of me or what the reason might be. But yeah, that was my profit. I'm still very thankful for that profit, and it is still awesome that I can do that completely on my own, just with my computer and my time. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I make these videos every single month where I go through everything that sold and my profits. If that is something that interests you, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I post new videos every Thursday, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. By the way, little side note, I grew all of these zinnias from seed and I'm very proud of them. So I just thought I would point that out. They're my first zinnias that I've ever grown, my first flowers I've ever grown.